This hearing will have interpretation from English into Spanish only. For Spanish translation, please click the interpretation symbol at the bottom of the screen and select Spanish. Pues, excuse my Spanish, but I will try to say it now. In Spanish hay interpretación solo en español. Si lo necesitas, puedes elegir el botón que dice interpretación en la barra abajo y elegir la lengua español. Sorry if that didn't come out right, but I did try. This hearing is a part of a series of regional hearings organized as part of this global initiative and follows the success of the hearings done in Americas, Asia Pacific, and Africa. This hearing also is organized by the Association Proyecto Hombre and Serious Prevention Centers and the World Federation Against Drugs. We will begin this hearing with introductory remarks, and then the speakers will briefly share their thoughts and about the situation on prevention in their countries in 5 minutes. Both myself and Oriol will be moderating this hearing. We ask that the speakers keep within the given 5 minutes. For the attendees and on the audience, you can put your questions in the Q&A section or the chat box. You can wait for the Q&A section, or you can put your questions in the chat box. At the end of the hearing, we will try to answer all of them if we have enough time. And just the last housekeeping thing, the report will be done by our rapporteur, Cressida de White, and Cressida is also helping us with this webinar, with all the organizational stuff. So thank you, Cressida. Oriol, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Natalia. Well, welcome everyone. Again, yes, this is another instrument, a strong instrument within this global initiative on drug use prevention to raise voice and showing the demand from civil society organizations, but also academia and increasingly governments, that it is time to recognize that we should incorporate also evidence-based prevention in drug policies at all levels, local, national, and international, and also all over the world. So I'm very happy also to be here. Thanks everyone for attending, especially the speakers. I'm keen to hear the stance from their countries. And of course, this is a two-fold message initiative. So we don't want only to invest in more prevention, but better, effective prevention. And I think that this is very, very, very key. Thank you so much, and hope you enjoy this hearing today.
So without further ado, we're very, very happy and very honored that this initiative will be welcomed by Giovanna Campello. She is the chief of the UNODC Prevention, Treatment and Rehabilitation section. Giovanna.
Thank you, Natalia. Thank you, Oriol. Oops. Am I being heard?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, there was a strange message, pardon. But thank you, Natalia. Thank you, Oriol, for having me. And through me, UNODC, of course, and above all for organizing this series of consultation all around the world. I think that I have the great pleasure and honor to spend the next 5 minutes highlighting how this is an amazing initiative in many, many ways. And it's very, very timely as well. You might know that the Commission on Narcotic Drugs, it's our governing body and is the body of the United Nations where all the member states come together to decide how to address drugs worldwide. And this year they had a big meeting. It was an important year where they took stock of how they were doing, identified challenges and what they needed to do better. And of course, they recognized many issues. They took many commitments. What I would like to highlight is that they did recognize that they require that to do better. This will require more further systematic and sustainable preventive approaches to protect people, in particular children and young people, from illicit drug use. And I think that this should be our starting point, because we have this very strong political push globally, and we can really work on it. And let me highlight how, of course, the mandates are not only about prevention, and it's thanks to also to the hard work and advocacy of civil society organizations such as yourself that we are managing to promote a really health-centered approach to drugs. That, of course, sure, it addresses organized crime, drug trafficking, money laundering, very necessary, but it does so in a context where health measures are given equal importance. And of course, again, when I say health measures, I'm really thinking about all the measures that are needed to protect and promote the health of people in the context of addressing drugs in our countries and communities. And this means services for people who use drugs and people with drug use disorders, all of them, from the low threshold services to protect them from the health and social consequences of use, also called harm reduction, through all of the necessary therapies, pharmacological, opioid agonist maintenance treatment, psychosocial support to recovery. But I'm also thinking about other health initiatives, like ensuring that the people that need access for medical purposes to control medicines have that access. And of course, what we are here for today, prevention of drug use. So protecting people from initiating drug use or progressing to drug dependence, and through that, protect their health and well-being. But as Oriol was saying, I think what is absolutely key is that we are not here to promote any prevention, but a very specific kind of prevention that is based on scientific evidence, and therefore is safe and is effective in supporting the development of children and youth and the well-being of adults. And this also means, as we know from science, that is effective also in the context of social inequalities, and therefore helps to address them, not making them worse. And as you know, together, well, originally we were on our own. We launched the international standards on drug use prevention in 2013. We were very, very happy to launch the second updated edition in 2018 together with the World Health Organization. And again, it's thanks to also to the advocacy and implementation, excellent implementation of civil society organizations such as yourself, that I think that the need for evidence-based practice is well recognized globally. But even our member states, you heard that before, recognize that there is more that can be done. And I think that this is why of the Oviedo Declaration and this series of webinar is a wonderful, wonderful initiative. And let us use this great connection that has been created by the Oviedo Declaration to expand and to improve. So we can use this connection to learn from each other so that we can improve our field. Here we are. This is a powerful first step, a powerful tool that we can use. We can use each other's connection to mobilize member states to invest more in prevention and support our work to implement evidence-based preventions. Many member states this year at the Commission have pledged to do so. So let's take them to their word all together. And of course, we can use this connection to highlight the need for prevention during the work of the commissions. There will be intersessional very soon in November. The Vienna NGO Committee will be heavily involved. Do participate, do build on this connection to make your voice and your work on evidence-based prevention and your concerns on how to expand it, make this all heard. And then, of course, you know, here we are in the European hearing. Let us connect to each other. This continent has excellent human resources. I've had the pleasure to work with many practitioners from the continent. We have excellent tools. I feel that I'm also part of this having collaborated with so many of you, including with the colleagues of the EMCDDA, that now is the EUDA, and of course Denise and his team at the Pompidou Group. So, and we have worked together in the continent and outside. We can build off this. We know that still too much prevention is still a well-intentioned waste of funding because it's not based on scientific evidence, but we can really use the excellent expertise in the continent to turn this around. And if something is missing, we know that the science has gaps, or maybe you are not aware of some of the science that that exists. Do get in contact. If you don't know where to find me, Oriol does. And Denise also. And together we can also help each other. Maybe I know somebody, or I've heard of something else. We have an idea together. We decide that it's worth investing on a new initiative where there was a gap in the science. The sky is really the limit. There is a lot to do. We are doing not bad. Let's face it, but there is a lot that we can do and do better together. So thank you already for being here. Thank you for having me. I will stay on as much as I can to learn from you as well. But I'm really, really looking forward to continuing to work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giovanna. Needless to say how much we appreciate not only staying you today here, but accompanying us through the whole process. Denis Haber, Executive Secretary from the Pompidou Group of the Council of Europe. I'm not sure if he's here because he had an unexpected issue, but he told us that he would attend anyway sooner or later. So let's move, if you don't mind, to the next speaker, and then we will give the floor to Denis later, okay? So Natalia.
Yes. So we are moving on to the Nordic countries. I would like to welcome our colleague Peter Moilanen. Peter will speak on behalf of the Nordic countries as a board member of NORD-AN, the Nordic Alcohol and Drug Policy Network based in Estonia. Peter is the head of the Drug Policy Center in Sweden, one of the most active focal points in Europe. Peter, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this possibility to give a Nordic overview of prevention in the context of the excellent Oviedo Declaration. Sometimes in my hardest moments, I have thought that the Nordic countries are almost the only ones that focus on prevention. I'm glad I was really wrong. Almost 2,500 NGOs from all over the world emphasizing prevention is quite impressive, I must say. Excellent work so far, and congratulations to the leadership. In a Nordic view, we have for a long time counted us as countries with a low consumption of drugs, and almost all the countries are still in general on a low consumption level in a European context, at least when we look at a regular use or 15 to 16 years old, but also on the consumption per year in adult population. But even in the Nordic countries, there has been an increase if we look at the latest decades. Consumption must decrease rather than increase in the future. Studies in Norway as well as Sweden has shown that drug-related cost will increase if consumption is increasing, and the cost will decrease if consumption decreases. Why is consumption on a low level then? Of course, cultural context is one part of this, but it is also due to policy measures, I would say. Prevention work is rather high on the agenda in the countries, as well as the question of consumption level. Even if the increased drug-related death has been even more on the agenda the last decade. One can understand that, but it is still important for the countries to have a low consumption. It is not only measures to decrease demand that are in focus, but also supply. And the prevention work relates to law enforcement, and several different reactions from the society. The child perspective from, for example, Article 33 in the UN Convention on Child Rights is more or less living in the mindset. How can we then improve drug use prevention? Because as I said, it is not enough. First, Even if prevention is on the agenda, it is competing with the questions of treatment, harm reduction, and drug-related death, but also with other questions in the society, such as organized crime. Prevention has to be higher on the agenda. Secondly, there is a lack of resources. In Sweden, for example, and depending on how you define prevention, of course, there has been a cut in half of the time spent on coordinating local prevention work in the last 10 years. The resources must increase. Third, there is a need for systemizing the prevention work even better so all relevant stakeholders can cooperate together. And lastly, we must build centers of some kind that monitor and increase the knowledge of evidence-based prevention in a local context. To conclude from a Nordic point of view, this session, the Nordic countries have a low level of consumption, even if we can see an increase. The low level of consumption partly depends on prevention work together with law enforcement and reactions from the society. More has to be done. Increased resources, more systemized prevention work, and increased knowledge of evidence-based prevention. So prevention work is higher on the agenda. So thank you for the possibility to participate in an important event, and I look forward to listening to the rest of you speakers. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Peter. Our acknowledgements for the work you are doing, particularly in your organization, Sweden, but within this Nordic network. Also reminding that there are other focal points in your region, like Stig-Erik Solheim from Norway. So excellent. Thank you very much. And now we are going to move to the next speaker, which is Elena Presencio, lawyer. This is my colleague from my organization. I know who she is, but I want to read. She's been working in the field of addictions for more than 30 years. Since 2015, General Director of the Association Proyecto Hombre, my organization, so collaborating, working close together from Spain, which is where the country where this Oviedo initiative started. Thank you so much, Elena.
Thank you, Uriel. Good morning to all. I wish to begin by expressing my gratitude for your presence here today and for the opportunity to share our experience as Spain's focal point within the context of an initiative which, like the Oviedo Declaration, has united civil society in a sensible, consensus-driven proposal aimed at the common good. I'd like to continue by providing some data concerning the current situation in our country. According to the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction 2022 report, Spain leads among European Union countries in cocaine consumption. Data from the National Plan on Drugs indicates that alcohol consumption begins the earliest, with the average age onset at late 13 years, followed by tobacco and hypnotics at around 14 years. Furthermore, over 34% of students aged 12 to 13 admit to having consumed alcohol at least once in their lives. In light of this reality, it's essential to discuss prevention. Allow me to emphasize certain proposals in this declaration that are particularly significant from our focal point. The emphasis on evidence-based prevention with adherence to quality standards and professional training. The needs for universal and intersectional prevention strategies that address all ages and vulnerabilities, ensuring a person-centered response. Childhood and adolescence are critical periods for the early prevention, which should extend throughout life, including adulthood, where workplace prevention offers key opportunities. Moreover, we should not overlook older adults who are increasingly affected by addiction issues in our INC society. The promotion of prevention policies and programs that engage the entire society, such as those regarding environmental drugs prevention strategies, I have spoken about quality, evidence, evaluation, and training, all of which require resources. We therefore view the proposal to allocate 25% of the drugs demand reduction budget to prevention as a milestone, especially given that the investment in countries like Spain does not exceed 12%. In conclusion, we are over 300 signatories to this declaration in Spain, marking a significant achievement for our society. Allow me to highlight some factors that, in our experience, have enabled this mobilization. The development of high-quality consensus-based prevention proposal, like Oviedo Declaration, created with the collaboration of eminent experts for civil society, governments, and international organizations. Trust in the promoters of this initiative, led by Proyecto Hombre, and involving the participation of prestigious Spanish organizations specializing in addictions such as FAD Juventud and UNAR. Local cooperation, we have established a network of 4 focal subpoints based on 4 major geographic zones in Spain, coordinating 28 local Proyecto Hombre centers, each in turn managing adhesion requests in their regions. These subpoints collaboratively devised strategies and conducted follow-ups to encourage adhesions. The diversity of signatories.
1 minute.
The diversity of signatories in Spain, including NGOs from healthcare, sport, leisure, social and educational sector, as well as universities, professional associations, unions, and regional and local administrations. This broad and varied signatories base facilitate the further endorsement and foster a sense of participation. This declaration not only unites us as a society in the face of addiction challenges, but also plays a vital role in raising awareness about prevention, enlightening society, and promoting policies rooted in quality and evidence. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you so much. And we would like to thank also Proyecto Hombre for starting this and for you supporting the whole thing and being there for us, for the whole task force. Thank you so much. I think, Oriol, I think that Dennis is here.
Not sure. You can
Yes,
continue. You can continue.
Dennis Hoover is connected. Someone, right?
Okay.
Yes, he's here. So do you want to introduce him, or shall we go for?
I think so.
Give
I can
him a
speak with
minute.
him. Maybe I will tell him to do the closing remarks. Maybe.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, that's great.
Hmm.
So we carry on with Slovakia. Kristina Sperkova. Kristina is the international president of Movendi International and chairperson of Movendi Slovakia. She has been active in the field of prevention for almost 25 years and worked with a whole spectrum of prevention approaches from peer programs in her youth to population-wide approaches currently. Kristina is a member of a working group advising the Director General of WHO on prevention of non-communicable diseases and is also Planet Youth Ambassador. Kristina has master's degree in psychology from the Comenius University in Bratislava. Kristina, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Natalia, and thank you for having me. Also from my side, huge congratulations for the organizers or everyone who is behind the initiative, Oviedo initiative or declaration, and bringing so many of us together. This is an impressive achievement. So thank you for doing this. And now I have 5 minutes to share some challenges. So I have decided to share 5 challenges in prevention in Slovakia. And the first one would be normalization and underestimation. So when we look at Slovakia, the prevalence of the most used drug is cannabis, and that's 5%. Tobacco is 32%, and alcohol is 73%. And that's where we come to underestimation and normalization. So what we observe here is that the drug use is being normalized more and more. We can see it also, unfortunately, also by prevention implementators, but also harm reduction and for example, alcohol use is also normalized, which we can also then see that it actually leads to underestimation of the harm. So despite the high numbers, everyone thinks it's normal and there is no problem or nothing needs to be done. So that is the first challenge. The second challenge is financing and also monitoring. Monitoring, because the data that I also had access to are rather old, like some of them are from 2006, for example. So what we understand that in 2006, the budget spent on drug-related expenditures was 0.05% of the GDP. Out of it, prevention was 7.6%. The highest amount was used for public order, that was like 63% of the budget, and treatment was 14%. So like the data is not very fresh, but also the information that we have is that the financing is very low. So I've been checking, for example, how much money has been spent or allocated for prevention activities by the Ministry of Health in Slovakia, and they allocate around 500,000 euro per year for different initiatives. And there we are moving actually to the challenge number 3, and that is the quality of programs. And it has been mentioned several times that many programs are not evidence-based. And what I can see in these programs that have been granted, around the 500,000 euro was invested into prevention. Most of it was used for different material and technical equipment of the institutions that are dealing mostly with treatment. Then there is some money spent on education and mass media communication. And then also the idea is good. So for example, the wish is to focus on long-term and systematic work with children. But when we look at those programs that have been then granted, we can see that they are ineffective. Those activities are one-time activities or testimonials, or police coming to school and presenting different drugs to students. So the money that is spent is really not spent wisely, and it's unfortunately a waste of money, or some projects are actually rather fishy. And then the other 2 challenges are also connected. The 4th challenge would be industry interference. We can see that the industry is interfering in policy making when it comes to the population-wide policies, and also they are part of different campaigns. For example, road safety campaign, which we understand is that it's more of a promotion of the products, and in this case of legal drug, alcohol, than anything else. And the last challenge is then the ignorance of evidence-based effective policies. So the harm, for example, related to alcohol is high, the consumption is very high, but the evidence-based policies that we know that work, like availability and marketing and alcohol taxations, are not really applied. The availability is high, even in the petrol stations. You can get alcohol 24/7. Digital marketing and the general marketing is present overall all the time. And alcohol taxation is used only for revenues, but is not used as a public health measure. So it's not rightly set to prevent the use. So that's where I would stop. These were the 5 challenges I wanted to share from Slovakia. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Christina, from Slovakia, but you are representing something that goes beyond. And I hope that you will come to Spain, to Barcelona soon, because you are very active also at advocating for reducing, for instance, the use of alcohol in many other scenarios. Thank you very much, Christina. Yes, it's Italy's turn. Although today he's connected from Belgium, but he's representing Italy. Andrea Scari, projects coordinator of the Italian Federation of Therapeutic Communities, well known as FICT. He's a founder and also a board member of the European Network ESET, very important one. And yes, I cannot speak in length, but he has a very, very long-standing career in this field, very good person, and I would say also a very good friend of mine. Andrea, it's your time. You have the floor.
Thank you, Oriol. Thank you for inviting me, and thanks for all the institutions providing support to this wonderful initiative. I will just say some few words about why we love the Oviedo Declaration and why in our country we need the Oviedo Declaration. Starting from the first point, when you say that we need to dedicate at least 25% of drug demand reduction strategies and policy budget on prevention by 2030. It sounds like a huge amount of money, but if you consider that, for example, in our country, 1/3 of the population in prison is consuming drugs, and I'm here in Belgium because we are visiting prisons in some European countries, and we see how it costs to maintain a person with addiction problem or consuming drugs in a prison, and how ineffective could be this kind of approach. So we can say that prevention could be not the most expensive solution if we see from that perspective. Another point we love all the points, obviously, but another point we will love in the Oviedo Declaration is the second point concerning the approach targeting all ages of development and favoring earlier prevention. I remember that our friend and supervisor, Donald Ottemer, was one of the pioneers in the therapeutic communities movement when he came in Italy, and during his supervising activity with professionals working in prevention, he was asking them, I'm talking about 20 years ago, what's the right age to start prevention? And my colleagues, me and my colleagues started to say, yes, normally we work with adolescents. No, earlier. Yes, you probably have to do a good work also with children in childhood. No, earlier. At the birth. No, earlier. Pregnancy. No, earlier. His vision was that to start prevention, it's always too late. And if you do a good prevention activity with young people now, you think that you are doing also a good prevention activity for their children, when they will be parents. Also, research and evaluation to avoid ineffective and counterproductive strategies, it's important for us. Maybe that Italy is such a creative country, and so it's quite difficult to improve so many evidence-based treatment, but we are pushing to do that, and at least to do prevention based on tools designed in evidence-based approaches. We know that working on perception of risk or providing neutral information about positive and negative effects doesn't work. Also, to shift the focus from drugs to the individual and the community, it's important for us. It's important for our philosophy, for our treatment. It's called Progetto Uomo, not Progetto Droga. So it's based on mankind, not on drugs. And we strongly think that individual well-being and strong communities are the most powerful vaccines you can provide to people against drugs. And the good thing is that they do not need to change too much according to changes in consumers' habits or to adapt to new or different substances or behaviors, because you are working on something different, not on a particular side effect of a substance or a behavior. Also, sorry, the point related to mainstream intersectional approaches for all population at risk. We think that building a welcoming country means also, and you know that our country is welcoming a lot of people from other countries, migrants, refugees, asylum seekers. But we have to build a safe life condition for all. And also we have to take care of the differences we have in our country. You know that in Italy there are big differences between north and south. There are poor areas in towns, in regions, and so on. I think that that's all, and I thank you again for this opportunity, and I hope that the work together will keep on, because we need to create an effective network about prevention in order to exchange good practices and also bad practices or reason for fail, which are very important in order to understand what we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you very much. That's very, very important. And we would like to give the floor to Margret. Margret Lilia Gudmundsdottir is the Chief Knowledge Officer at Planet Youth. Did I say it right? Okay,
Well
great.
done.
Thank you. Her role involves working toward achieving Planet Youth's global objectives and designing and implementing the Planet Youth Knowledge Transfer Strategy. She has been working with primary prevention for decades and has been involved in developing the renowned Icelandic prevention model, we do know that, from the beginning. Margaret has a master's degree in sociology from the University of Iceland. Margaret, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank for a really good pronunciation of my surname. Yes, now I'm with the Icelandic Hat, based in Iceland, sunny, cold Friday morning here in Iceland. And I would not be me if I would not mention the Iceland successful approach by reducing substance use among teenagers. I'm sure that many of you know that late 90s, Iceland had one of the highest rates of teenage substance use in Europe. However, a dramatic shift occurred thanks to the comprehensive prevention approach known as the Icelandic prevention model. This model significantly reduced substance use by focusing on evidence-based practice. We are using local data focused on the risk and protective factors, creating and maintaining a dialogue between research, policy, and practice. And we have seen dramatic reduced youth drug use over the past 2 decades. In 98, 42% of our youth had become drunk in the previous month. Our latest data, 2023, is showing 6%. And we are focusing on the key factors for domains, family, school, leisure, and peer group. And many of you have probably heard me speak about this before. But like Peter already mentioned here, representing the Nordic country, that Iceland is clearly one of the countries that we call the Nordic countries. We have some challenges, and Peter addressed them very well. Lack of resources into prevention. And I want to mention a few more. I could say that this big success here in Iceland is also our biggest challenge. We have politicians here now that think that our kids are in some way different from how it used to be, so they can do all kinds of systematic changes within the country. So our biggest challenge is to keep the numbers low. I also want to mention the rise of new types of drugs, new trends like synthetic drugs, which required quite, I would say, updated prevention strategies. And I would like to mention energy drinks, nicotine pouches. My work is mainly focused on children and youth and adolescents, and we often see this as a gateway drug to the world of more substance. And then, like Christine already mentioned, the normalization of everything and the normalization of cannabis use is also quite strong here. Mental health is another thing I want to mention. That's a crucial issue, especially post-COVID. And I can tell you, not only looking into the data here in Iceland, but also with a Planet Youth hat on, I can tell you that we are seeing this worldwide lack of good mental health. Especially after COVID, we talk about anxiety, depression, and other mental challenges are increasing among youth worldwide. And if we don't address this underlying issue, it could lead to more substance use. We could also mention toxic communication among youth, violent behavior. And I know that this is also here in Iceland. We see it in other Nordic countries, and we have to address it. Violent behavior is always an outcome of something broken in the four domains. Then I clearly want to mention politicians, companies, individuals who want to change the arrangement for alcohol sales and access, legalizing cannabis. In many ways, and I find this really strange, so I can be honest here today, that they want to be like those countries who want to follow what Iceland has been doing for decades. We have strict laws and regulation, and now we are facing increased accessibility in Iceland. It's a fact. Online sales have sprung up. Just yesterday, one of the oldest and largest company opened an online sales. All this happens in the name of freedom, and that more people than the state can own and sell. We have a strong, powerful market, and that's why I'm really celebrating that we are building up a strong universal prevention team, because we need to stick together. And the market is normalizing is a big effect, and we see an increase in consumption among adults here in Iceland, and I want to make that clear. Although this has not yet been detected among children and youth here. It's all about figuring out the causes of the causes. The primary prevention and evidence-based practice is the best approach because it aims to stop the problems before they start. So Iceland's success in drug use prevention is something to be proud of, but there are always room for growth and always challenges. By addressing new drug trends, focusing on mental health, and ensuring inclusivity, because that's another thing we are facing here in Iceland. People moving to Iceland from abroad, and we also have to make sure that we are including them in all our policies. By that, we continue to build on this success and protect future generations, create healthier, happier, safer communities for young people in Iceland and beyond. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, we must admit that all what you have been doing in Iceland is amazing. It's also a model for many other regions, communities, countries, but also really appreciate that your honesty. You are honest also in recognizing new threats. So in your countries. Thank you very, very much. If you can see all comments in the chat box, although we are organizing what's called an Europe hearing, this is very global. You see, there are a lot of attendees from Africa, Asia, few from Latin America, because most of them are sleeping now, but also many from Europe. So now let's move to East Europe, Turkey. Our focal point there, Sedef Erzetin Cenkosmanoglu. She's the head of international cooperation, the prominent Turkish public health NGO, Turkish Green Crescent. She holds a master's degree in international affairs and management from Italy, and bachelor's degree from METU in Ankara, with a career that began in 2009 at WHO and the World Bank. Sedef has developed strong expertise in global health and international partnerships. Sedef, thank you so much. You have the floor.
Thank you, Oriol. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I would like to share with you some crucial insights into the trends in the substance use in Turkey over the past 2 years. This analysis is based on the data collected by the 107 Green Crescent counseling centers across the country, including those in Cyprus. The period covered is from the January 2023 to August 2024. Substance abuse continues to be a pressing issue worldwide, and Turkey is no exception. Due to its unique geographic location, Turkey has long been a transit hub for drug trafficking, which has inevitably influenced domestic substance use patterns. While Turkey's reported drug use rates are lower than those of European countries and the United States, there is a growing concern about the significant rise in substance use, particularly among younger populations like children and adolescents. Let's dive into the key findings of the study and examine the changes observed over these 2 years. The data highlights a notable shift in the substances most frequently used by individuals seeking treatment. First, amphetamines and derivatives have historically been the most preferred substances. In 2023, nearly half of those treated, 48%, reported using amphetamines or related drugs. However, in 2024, this figure decreased to 33.9%. This decline suggests either a change in users' preference or perhaps more effective intervention measures targeting these substances. Cannabis comes in as the second most commonly used substance. Interestingly, its usage has been an increase over the past year. In 2023, 20% of the cases involved cannabis, but by the 2024, this rate had risen to the 25%. This uptick reflects a growing trend that needs attention, especially considering the broader perception that cannabis is less harmful than other substances. Alongside these changes, we observed a rise in the usage of the synthetic cannabinoids, lyrica and cocaine. These substances, which had been previously been less prominent, have gained traction over the past year. For instance, synthetic cannabinoids increased from the 7.6% in 2023 to 17.8% in 2024, showing more than a doubling usage rate. On the other hand, heroin use has been a significant decline. In 2023, 9.3% of the cases involving the heroin, but this dropped to 5.6% in 2024. This decrease is a positive development, potentially indicating the success of targeted interventions in reducing the availability and the appeal of dangerous drugs. The data in this report had drawn from a sample of the 3,251 individuals who sought help from the substance addiction at Turkish Green Crescent counseling centers between January 2023 and August 2024. The findings are not just about the numbers, they represent the shift in the landscape of the substance use in Turkey and highlighting the emerging challenges we face. One of the report's significant takeaways is that even though government programs and rehabilitation initiatives are being implemented, substance use is still increasing. The rising preference for synthetic substances and prescription drugs like lyrica is particularly concerning. These substances can be more accessible, less regulated, and harder to detect, making them a growing threat. These trends call for a multifaceted response. The government of Turkey, along with organizations like Green Crescent, has been working to combat substance abuse through prevention, education, and rehabilitation programs. However, this finding suggests that the more targeted efforts are needed, especially focusing on younger populations and emerging drug categories. Prevention and early intervention is first and one of these. Given the rise in substance abuse among children and adolescents, we must intensify education and prevention efforts in schools and communities. Educating young people about risks associated with the drug use and equipping them with the skills to resist peer pressure are critical components of the prevention. Expanding treatment options. As substance preference evolves, so too must our treatment approaches. Increasing access to rehabilitation services, particularly for those using synthetic and prescription drugs, is essential. Tailored treatment options that consider the unique challenges posed by these substances can enhance recovery outcomes. and stronger regulatory measures are needed. The increase in the synthetic drug use, such as synthetic cannabinoids, points to the need for the stronger regulatory controls. Authorities should continue to monitor and regulate the production and distribution of such substances while working to close gaps that allow these drugs to be sold and distributed. Community support and reintegration, I would like to mention. Addiction recovery is a long process that expands beyond clinical treatment. We need robust support systems that include jobs training, housing assistance, and social integration programs to help individuals rebuild their lives after overcoming addiction. The findings from this report are a call to action. Substance use in Turkey is evolving, and with it, the strategies we employ must adapt. While there have been positive developments, such as reduction in the heroin use, global prevalence of the synthetic substance, and cannabis is clear to sign the battle is far from over. Moving forward, collaboration between government bodies, NGOs, community leaders, and public will be crucial. Together, we can implement more effective prevention strategies, enhance treatment services, and ultimately reduce the harm caused by the substance abuse. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sedef. Thank you so much. And what I'm keeping from the whole thing is that together, because literally together we can do a lot more. So next is Belgium, Johan Martens. Johan, hang on, I've got a different paper for you. Johan is a psychologist, psychotherapist. He's the founder, hello, he's the founder of the Sleutel, exact 50 years ago, a network of ambulatory and residential treatment centers with also focus on prevention and research. Founder and chair scientific committee Rotary Action Group for Addiction Prevention with members in 42 Rotary districts and 37 countries. Johan, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia. Thank you for being here. And I had like to bring an overview of what happens in Belgium, but that seems to be very difficult because Belgium has many levels of organization in health and also in prevention. So we have 3 parts of the country, 3 languages, and all 3 of them has their own institutes for prevention, for treatment. Communication is not easy. And none of them found the time to prepare this meeting with me. They have too much other things to do. So there is work on communication and coordination. We also have a national cell for addiction, for treatment and prevention, but also this is a broad spectrum and there is less communication. That said, during my career of 50 years, it was obvious that all the money went to treatment and repression, and not enough energy and money to prevention. That's why the Oviedo Declaration has an important impact. We can promote it and we really support it. Because I always said at that time that treatment was also a little bit mopping with the tap open. We need to prevent, and we need, it has been said many times, to prevent as early as possible. In Belgium, we invested a lot in training of coping with emotions in nursery schools and training of social skills in primary schools. This is the time you need 10 to 12 years to prepare for the first contact and the experience and the first experiences. And there we experienced also a lot of problems with what we call the evidence-based programs. One thing is it needs time and it costs money to develop them. It takes several years. Then it takes several years to implement them. And after a while, they are not evidence-based anymore because they are not permanently evaluated. So this is a problem. Also a problem in the schools. It was mainly school-based, that, you know, the phenomenon that teachers get tired, don't have the time. School directions are overflooded with a diversity of prevention programs on suicide, bullying, depression, all aiming at the same social skills, but confusing all around. So there is a lot of work to do in the coordination of that. Good news is that following these years of effort to work on in the schools with social skill trainings, that is that in the curriculum of the primary schools, the social skills training is becoming a legal part of the curriculum. So that's really important. Other accents were also put on youth work, the work with youth organizations. And we are doing that. I will come back on that later. We are working with the youth umbrella organizations in Flanders, especially, where we see that in all youth organizations, for the moment, alcohol is the #1 problem. We have also programs in workplace prevention, and this is also based on a legal obligation to have drug prevention and addiction prevention programs and policies in general workplaces. So these are positive results anyway. What we are trying to do now as an alternative to the programs that cost a lot and ask a lot of money, we are looking for alternatives. And also from the Rotary Action Group Addiction Prevention that was founded in Belgium, we are looking to involve all Rotary clubs in Belgium to start, but later on in Europe and later on in the world. And we are representing already 42 districts in the world. That means a lot, but we need to offer them an opportunity to work in a way that fits very well to a Rotary club and to a local community to strengthen the social tissue, the health tissue. And we shifted in the Rotary Action Group from prevention of drugs and drug addiction to addiction in general, to like gaming, screen, and so ever, but also to negative behavior. And at the end, we shifted to the promotion of mental health, was said before, well-being and happiness. That's what we are aiming for. Preventing is not enough. It's promotion and training of mental health, well-being, and happiness. That's our focus for the moment. We were inspired by the youth initiative of the United Nations in the mental health sector. And we are trying to develop a new project to spread it worldwide. And we have the first pilot now in Flanders, and the project, we called it Youth Prevention Influencers. You know, the principles of the peer prevention. The project will train young people recruited by schools in cooperation with Rotary clubs to train them in the principles of addiction and the principles of prevention, and will support them then to develop their own activity in their own peer group, class group, youth organization, sport organization, gaming club, whatever group they choose. We will support them to develop their own prevention action. And this prevention action will be monitored by a specialized academic institute that we have in Ghent, at the high school in Ghent. It calls the Substance Use and Psychosocial Risk Behaviors Institute. And they are specialized in evaluation and monitoring of prevention projects. So they will have permanent communication with those young people, transferring and evaluating the data, and adapting so that they can adapt their project, their action within the action. The steps we foresee for that is in Flanders, we have a pilot running. After the pilot, we will bring it into a European subsidy project from the European small Erasmus projects for the finalization of the project and the dissemination in Europe. And later on, then I speak, Europe will be the 25, 26, 26, 27.
Johan, 1 minute. Thank you very much.
Okay. Will be then at the international level on a scale grant. So that's a new project that we will introduce in Flanders. I hope that by this occasion I will be able to inform you on all levels in Belgium in a better way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin. I think it's very insightful what you have explained from Belgium, but we also recognize the role that Rotarians, the Rotary Club, is playing not only on drug use prevention, but in other big challenges in society, such as polio worldwide. So our recognition for that. Hopefully, drug use prevention is gaining room in your national and regional, international approaches. Finally, as speakers, and then we will move to the closing with Dennis Haber and Matej Kosir. In between, let's see if we can post a couple of questions from the chat box. I have the pleasure to introduce, coming from North Macedonia, Ligiana Injatova, psychotherapist representing HERA, which is the Health Education and Research Association. Like many other focal points, they are also involved. They have even translated into Macedonian the declaration, like many other focal points have been done so in the national languages. So thank you very much also for this contribution that makes this initiative more accessible to the people there. Thank you very much. You'll have the floor.
Thank you for invitation, and thanks for organizing that event and gather us in this network. I will talk about drug prevention policy in North Macedonia. First of all, I will stress challenges in the country, and after that I will talk about our needs and proposals which are related to these challenges. I choose 5 challenges, same as colleague from Slovakia. The first one is double-blind expectation. This means that the state expects the budget from the civil society organization for their activity and action plan in the strategy, also from international drug organization and civil society organization expect financial support from the state. Therefore, many of the planned activities have not been implemented from the action plan, including the development of national standards for prevention in line with international ones. Related to evaluation and scientific evidence-based prevention, there are still preventive activities that are not evaluated and are not in accordance with scientific evidence and international standards in my country. Related to coordination, who do what, the coordination between institution and organization is insufficient, as is the inclusion of target groups in policy making. A continuum of care, especially reintegration, is prevented due to stigmatization of this population, as well stigmatization of the programs and professionals who work in this field. So their voice is rarely heard by decision makers. Educational programs are not have not curricula related to science, related to addiction generally, included prevention. This is insufficient or completely missing in the educational system at all levels, primary, secondary schools, and university as well. Our proposals to overcome these challenges, or I can say our needs related to these challenges, are developing national standards for prevention in line with international standards, inclusion of addiction programming in the education system at all levels, education and continuous education of professionals who offer prevention services, and monitoring and evaluating prevention programs as well as drug policy. Coordination at the country, but at global level, is also very important. So that's it from my country. Thank you very much for the attention.
Thank you, Liliana. Thank you so much. So we're moving forward to Dennis Huber. Dennis started his diplomatic career in January 1990 in the French Ministry for Foreign Affairs before joining the Secretariat of the Council of Europe in September 1993. Since July 2018, he is the Executive Secretary of the Council of Europe International Cooperation Group on Drugs and Addictions, the Pompidou Group. Also, the Pompidou Group accepted to be the observer of the initiative, and thank you very much for this. Dennis, the floor is yours.
Seems not to be here.
Liliana, if you want to switch off your camera, so
I'm here, but my camera cannot start because it is the host who stopped it.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, now the host,
Sonia...
apparently the host
there you go. We can see you now.
Authorized me to use my camera.
Well, the floor is yours then.
Okay. So yes, thank you for Project Ombre and all of you to inviting me for this important event. As you mentioned, the Pompidou Group is supporting this initiative because we believe that both prevention is a key aspect of all drug policies, and the role of civil society is very important in this endeavor. I have to apologize once again because I was supposed to speak at the opening session, but I had some technical problems with my computers, and I joined the meeting with some 15 minutes of delay. But I'm happy to be able now to participate in the closing session. Prevention is a very high priority for the Pompidou Group. And in this connection, the Italian presidency has welcomed the choice of the theme for the 2024 World Drug Campaign. The evidence is clear: invest in prevention. By supporting this campaign, the Pompidou Group reaffirms its commitment to placing prevention at the heart of the fight against drug use, not only on the 26th of June, but throughout the year. This commitment has been demonstrated through the organization of two major international seminars recently, one on prevention, which was held in Venice in June 2023, and the other one on recovery and education, which was held in Naples in May 2024. These seminars provided a unique opportunity for our 41 member states to share their experiences and best practices in tackling the increase in drug use and related risks. Two main objectives emerged from these meetings and continue to guide the Pompidou Group work. Firstly, community engagement aimed at raising awareness and directly involving local populations in the implementation of effective prevention programs. Second, youth empowerment, which involves providing young people with the knowledge, skills, and resources they need to become change makers within their communities. This approach encourages young people to actively engage in prevention initiatives and to make their voices heard in drug policy debates. In line with the declaration of Oviedo, which we support, we believe it is crucial to integrate this solid prevention strategy into an approach that is respectful of human rights. Prevention is not just about avoiding drug use. It is also about developing the skills needed in everyday life to say no to drugs from an early age. To achieve this, it is essential to mobilize not only parents, but also schools, cultural and sport associations, and all structures that interact with young people. The role of civil society is fundamental to this approach. I'm pleased to note that today, many of the participants represented diverse actors, reflecting the diversity of civil society. The Pompidou Group considers this representativeness essential to ensure that prevention strategies are tailored to the needs of everyone and actively supports this initiative to involve and work closely with civil society organizations. I will end this intervention by mentioning that, as you may know, the Pompidou Group has created 20 years ago the European Drug Prevention Prize, which is aimed at civil society organizations and their efforts to find creative initiatives for prevention. And we are going to launch before the end of this year the call for candidatures for the new and for the next edition of the European Prevention Prize. And we will focus this year the prize on prevention of new forms of addictions, online addictions. It has been mentioned, I think, by some of the speakers in the discussion that we have more and more to tackle this issue about working on preventing online addiction. So I encourage all of you who are civil society actors to be candidate for the next edition of the European Prevention Prize. The ceremony will take place end November 2025 at the next Pompidou Group ministerial session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haber. Let me tell you that we appreciate so much, not only your support today during all this journey, but before the starting, because the Pompidou Group already decided to become an observer of this mobilization when we had 0 adhesions. So that's very meaningful for us. Thank you very much. Before the closing remarks that will be done by Matej Kosir, I'm not sure if Natalia would like maybe to pose a question from the audience. I think we have no time for more.
We have time only for one. I'm really sorry about that. We will try to answer the rest by email. So the question is from Gada Zain. I hope I'm saying it correctly. How can universal policies be strengthened, and how can we deal with the protection issue of children from aggressive measures because of drugs addiction? For example, instead of police-like measure, to opt for rehabilitation and social protection. Is there someone from our panelists who would like to answer that question?
It's a complex question, but a good one. I will voluntarily appoint maybe, I don't know, Peter. No. Did you hear the question?
Can I read it? Do you want me to read it again to you? Well, I will read it again, so just in case. How can universal policies be strengthened, and how can we deal with the protection issue of children from aggressive measures because of drugs addiction? For example, instead of police-like measures, to opt for rehabilitation and social protection.
Yes, I can maybe start at least. to answer that question, because it's very good, of course, because as I said in my presentation, we have to have a better knowledge of evidence-based measures to handle, and then we have to really create knowledge. If it's like a competence centers or if it's monitoring, but we have to talk about this and really work with this. And then I talked about this systemized structural work to cooperate together. I mean, first we have to have the knowledge, then we have to sit around the table to discuss this and have a bigger picture, a common goal, where to go. And it's a kind of cultural maybe view of how to work with this demand measures. That's one kind of answer, at least.
Yes.
Maybe I could add also something, if you allow.
Sure, Dennis.
Yes, I think the reply is part of the reply is in the question. It was mentioned to shifting from repressive measures to rehabilitation and social integration. So this is part of the reply. I think another reply that we can give is a holistic policy, a holistic approach, which brings together, of course, law enforcement, but also all other actors. Can be social workers, can be cultural communities, it can be schools, of course, schools, parents also. Like the one which has been implemented in Iceland. It has been mentioned by one of the speakers that the prevention approach which Iceland has been implementing over the last 20 years has really brought very impressive results.
I should actually, Oriol, step in here, and I totally agree. I think the most important thing is that we have to collect data so we know what we are talking about, create process for all the prevention activities that people are already doing in the countries. I think that's also needed. Of course, I could talk about Planet Youth, but I think we all know what we need, and then we need to team up and bring out the key messages. I think meeting like this here today is really important because we are dealing with strong market and people that don't really care of other things than just gaining more money into their wallet. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. Ask the right question, have fresh local data to build all our action on. That would always be my recommendation.
Thank you, Marco. And Liliana, do you want to add something?
Yeah, thank you. I agree with all speakers that answered the question, but I think that I can add only that if we want to prevent, to do good prevention, universal prevention, we should start very early and to do early prevention and to prevent reasons that lead to vulnerable kids that can use drugs. So if we prevent the reasons that lead to that, then the universal prevention will be better to start very early and not to do only on drug prevention, but to do or to deal with the vulnerable factors and to avoid them, not to develop, not to develop young people which are vulnerable. Thank you.
Okay, Christina also wanted. Oh, maybe we can close with Christina. Yes, sorry.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I think I would just add one more thing that can also work for advocates, that we have human rights tools and documents, and child rights declaration is one of them, and the best interest of the child. And that goes also to other speakers who have said, and Liliana latest, like it's not only solving the drug problem of the child, but everything around, and using the perspective of the best interest of the child in everything that we are doing in society. I think that elevates actually everything and the situation not only for kids, but for everyone. Thank you.
Natalia, are you fine if we move to, thank you very much, Christina, if we move to
Thank
Matej?
you, Christina. I'm fine if we move to Matej. Would you be kind enough to present him?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Matej, well, most of you know him, is the director of the Institute UTRIP from Slovenia, Central Europe, and the coordinator of National Prevention Network in Slovenia called Prevention Platform. He's been working in prevention and advocacy in the field of substance use, alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, and other risk behaviors and addiction for about 25 years. But today, he represents the Vienna NGO Committee on Drugs as chairperson. Thank you very much. Would like you to give to share with us your closing remarks, and after that, if you want, or if it is maybe mentioned in your remarks, I would like to make you answer a question. What is your dream? What dream you would like to see come true in this regard of drug use prevention globally? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oriol, and thank you, Natalia, for a nice introduction. Definitely, it's not a difficult question, but probably while I'm talking about closing remarks, I will try to multitask and think about the answer about your question. So let's start maybe from the beginning for those who may not know us very well. As you know, Vienna NGOC exists to empower and support civil society groups from around the world, including our 418 members from 106 countries. So we are expanding slowly, which is great news. And our mission as a Vienna NGOC is to support, promote, and protect the engagement of civil society in international drug policy discussions and decision-making processes, including with the CND, UNODC, those were mentioned already, and also INCB, WHO, and many other stakeholders working in the field of drug policy. And many of our members are global networks themselves, and many of them are here with us today, which makes me really happy. So Vienna NGOC's reach is much bigger, and this is especially important from the perspective of the spread of key messages of the initiatives such as the Oviedo Declaration. And I'm glad to see that many of our members joined this hearing from all sectors, not only from the field of prevention, and from all over the world, and not only from Europe. Additionally, I want to mention that we cannot ignore the fact that this year's World Drug Day, which was on 26th of June, was dedicated to investing in evidence-based prevention as early as possible, which is crucial for fostering healthier communities, reducing healthcare and other costs related to different risk behaviors, and improving overall societal well-being. And as you may know, this is, I would say, a process which takes place in the last couple of years, and started probably before, but very, I would say, with the big steps further, with a resolution on early prevention in 2022, which was initiated by my country in collaboration with our institute and other stakeholders in Slovenia. You know, the collaboration between civil society and governments and UN agencies is crucial to make progress, because we see a lot of further developments. CHAMPS initiative, which is very important in the field of prevention, was initiated this year by Executive Director of UNODC. There are some other plans and initiatives. Oviedo Declaration fits perfectly to this progress and could leverage our efforts and bring us much closer to our objectives in the field of prevention. It's great, and it's really important that we acknowledge and that we highlight that many NGOs play a key role in prevention, particularly in linking up different stakeholders at local, regional, national, and also, as we see with the Oviedo Declaration, also at international level. If we are serious about investing in prevention, we cannot ignore the extremely important and in many cases crucial role played by civil society and NGOs. The same applies, of course, as we are a global platform of civil society in the field of drug policy. The same applies to the role of NGOs in developing, implementing, and evaluating evidence-based practices in the field of harm reduction, treatment, recovery, and also access to essential medicines. And fundamental principle of NGO work should be to leave no one behind, which is sometimes difficult, but we have to have this goal and objectives always in our minds, including protecting children from very early developmental stages, helping parents to deal with different issues, to create a safe and a healthier environment for all of us, not just for children and young people. So these are important objectives which I want to highlight in these closing remarks. And also, I would like to mention another initiative which was initiated by Vienna NGOC and several other stakeholders. This is an impact coalition. And the purpose of Impact Coalition is to showcase very good examples of collaboration between civil society and other stakeholders, such as governments, academia, and UN agencies as well. And Oviedo Declaration is definitely one of the, probably the best examples of this kind of collaboration. So definitely, as some of you may know, we are organizing side event during the action days of the Summit of the Future in New York very soon in the mid-September. And definitely the Oviedo Declaration will be presented there as a good example of collaboration between different stakeholders. And this is to come to the end of this closing remarks. This is probably one of my dreams. I have several dreams in my professional career, but definitely one of the most important dreams in my career is also to connect better different stakeholders, to search, to find synergies between all of us, not just working isolated in the field of prevention, or working isolated in the field of treatment and recovery or harm reduction, or working isolated as a government, and isolated as a civil society, and isolated as a scientists and researchers in the field of prevention. We have to come together, try to find synergies, and I'm pretty sure that this dream of better future, healthier and safer future for our children and young people and all of us is possible if we come together and try to find synergies. Also, the outcomes of our work, including in the field of prevention, will be much better at the population level, not only in some very isolated environments such as communities, countries, and so on. So we need to stick with this strategy, to collaborate together, to promote this kind of initiatives such as Oviedo Declaration, Impact Coalition for a Future of Drug Policy, and so on and so on. So there are many other things which I would like to mention here and highlight here, but as we are limited with time, I will stop here and give the floor to the facilitators and maybe some other speakers.
Thank you very much, Matej and Natalia. Last word.
Yes, so we are inviting you all to join our family. You can sign the declaration if you want on www.oviedodeclaration.org. As everybody has mentioned today, the civil society has a voice, and united we have strength and we can be heard. And it is us that can make a difference because we do work on the field. It doesn't matter if we come from prevention, treatment, or harm reduction. We do work on the field, so we do know what our people need. So prevention is creating the safety net, and everybody is very, very necessary. So I would like to thank, just very quickly, Giovanna, Dennis, Peter, Elena, Christina, Andrea, Margaret, Sedef, Johan, Liliana, and Matej for being here and sharing your knowledge. Thank you very much. We would also like to thank Cressida De Whitey, our rapporteur, that is going to do is going to send us their report. Sonia, for solving all matters during this hearing. All members of the task force and Oriol, specifically for organizing and leading this initiative. Our interpreters, Anna and Laura, for doing a fantastic job. Thank you, girls, so much. And of course, we would like to thank all of you, our audience, the present audience and future audience from YouTube, for taking the time to get involved. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.